Welcome everybody to one more very exciting session at Antwalk. Today's masterclass is a very on a very interesting topic for aspiring and current digital marketers. How to rank your website higher. That's always a question on top of our minds. And To answer some of your queries and questions, we have a really fantastic expert, Venkat Tangi. Welcome, Venkat, to one more session on Antwalk.
Thanks, Sriram. Thanks. Also, thanks for having me here and giving me this opportunity again. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is doing good. Safe and sound.
Cool. So, guys, I think there's still some folks joining in, Venkat. So, what I'll do is I'll quickly take a minute or two to introduce you to the larger audience, and then we can get into the Q&A. So guys, this is a AMA style session today. Of course, we take questions from everybody. So if you have any questions, start putting them in the chat box, and we will pass it on to Venkat. And this could be related to SEO. This could be related to career in digital marketing, specifically within SEO as well. So make sure you use this session to your best. It is rare that we get such experts to address our questions live. So definitely put down your questions on the chat box. With that, let me get started. Once again, warm welcome to everyone. Like I said, today's agenda is going to be very simple, right? It's a Q&A session, and we will keep it open for people to ask questions on topics in digital marketing, SEO, and career in digital marketing, right? So let me introduce Venkat to everybody. If for folks who have joined the session before, you guys know Venkat well. He's a very passionate digital marketer with 10 plus years of experience. He's currently at MoEngage, where he's responsible for all things digital, covering elements of lead generation, account-based marketing, SEO or organic growth, and of course conversion rate optimization, among other things. And before MoEngage, he used to be at MySmartPrice, where he was leading their growth initiatives, and he brings a deep expertise in SEO, search engine marketing, social media content, and of course web and data analytics across both B2B and B2C industries. He's an IIT Kharagpur alum with a BTech and MTech degree, and today he's here with us to chat with you guys. So welcome once again, a warm welcome to you, Venkat.
Thanks, Sriram. Yeah. Thank you. So as Sriram has put it, like I pretty much into digital marketing now. I mean, I started as a data analyst in 2011. I mean, it's been 10 years since then. For the initial 2 years, like I worked as a data analyst, and later I moved on to digital marketing, and also within digital marketing, SEO is the first aspect which I started getting my hands on. And since then, I guess pretty much when it comes to SEO, right? I mean, experience is what would matter in the long run, because tips, tricks, theory, like you can get it on internet, but unless like you try it out on your website or the company you're working for, or as a freelancer on for multiple clients, right? So that's when you start getting those unique insights. So I think I'm fortunate enough to have a mentor in my previous company, like who has actually helped me understand like each and every aspect of SEO. What are some of the strategies like which we can be trying? What are some of the tactics which we can use, right? And this is beneficial for any company as SEO. It has a long-term impact, and even from an ROI perspective, it is the best channel or the best area within the digital marketing. I just hope like whoever's joined this call today, they find it insightful. And if you have any questions, I mean, like as Sriram was mentioning, this is an AMA, and any question related to SEO, right? Like be it for the company like you're working for, or the project you're working on, or in general, like if you want to learn anything about SEO, like yeah, shoot those questions right away.
Perfect. We have already started getting some questions, Venkat, but before I get to them, let me start off with more overarching kind of a question, right? where do you see SEO in 2021? Is it still a dominant part of digital marketing, or do you see the importance of SEO going down?
So I think probably I'd like to cover two aspects or like two ways like how we can look at it. One thing is as a share of channel, like how much traffic SEO generates, it's actually getting probably reduced because of multiple other channels like which are available now in digital world, right? Compared to in early 2000s or even like 10 years before, where SEO used to be the primary channel. So that is one thing. The second thing is like even if you look at the Google SERP, like increasingly Google is trying out a lot of features and giving a lot of more importance or real estate to the paid advertisements, right? So that actually reduces the share of what do you call the organic results, right? But leaving these things aside, I still feel, this should be one of the major channels which a digital marketer or a growth person should be focusing on. Why? Because I mean, like you can't consider this as a wartime channel. I mean, like wartime tactic or strategy. For every particular growth initiative, like if you divide them or like if you classify them by peacetime strategies or peacetime channels or wartime channels, right? SEO is SEO is that channel which only gives you results like few months down the line. In some cases, like there are websites which have seen results like 1 year down the line, 2 years down the line, right? It's a really long-term game. It's contrary to the paid ads, like where you're putting in money today and you start seeing results right away, or the social, paid social, or any of those other tactics, right? Or strategies or channels, right? So SEO is that channel like where you put in the founder or the CMO. The head of digital marketing should have enough trust in SEO as a channel, and also it again depends upon the business, right? There are some businesses where SEO might not be a prominent channel, right? I mean, like if you're in e-commerce, like if you see like millions of search volumes for keywords, right? In various phases of research, like be it during awareness or consideration or during buying or things like that, right? So in those cases, for those businesses, SEO is important. But probably if you are a D2C brand, maybe relying, or if you are a brand like Meesho, which is a social commerce channel, like probably for them, SEO is not that big a channel, but still it can be tried as an additional channel, which can give, as I was mentioning, the advantages of SEO as a channel, right? Like it's free. I mean, not absolute terms, like you still need to put in a lot of effort from a team perspective or a content perspective, but it's more or less free. And also it gives you that long-term, from a long-term ROI perspective, like it's going to be the most efficient channel within digital marketing.
Understood. Great. So I'm going to pick up some of the questions. I think we have quite a few questions. Venkat, instead of keeping it generic, I think we can get to specific questions from folks. So first question is coming from Rajdeep. He's asking, often while working, I get confused on how to get backlinks. What should be my go-to strategy for backlinks?
So there is a very simple rule for backlinks. If you're getting a backlink very easily, it is more likely a bad backlink. So you need to put in a lot of effort to get backlinks. Having said that, I think the primary or the core way like to get backlinks is get that content which will be consumed or which will be beneficial to a lot of blogs or websites or aggregators out there, and who would want to link to your particular content piece, right? So that's going to be the single biggest thing, like which can give you backlinks over time. Like you need to churn out content, original content, insights, research, white papers, stats, trends, anything like that, right? If you're talking from a text-only content perspective, right? Or like if you're running some type of video type of content also, in the sense like if you're able to generate that original content, be it whatever the type, be it video, image, in case of images, like detailed infographic or original images, right? All those things. will help you in getting backlinks. But all those shady tactics or easy winning backlinks, be it commenting on forums or paying for a backlink or doing link exchanges, or even recently Google said that even guest posts are even bad, like if you're not actually marking them no follow or with relevant rel attributes, right? I think yesterday only they started rolling out a link update, like where they're able to figure out what are some of the bad backlinks or artificial backlinks which your website is getting. So you can assume that for a long-term game, you should start getting organic backlinks, nothing paid, and those organic backlinks you can only get if you have a very, very good content strategy in place, and what that content is all about.
Got it.
So one way to maybe like one way to start there, like if you're clueless about it, is that you would always be having some competitors, see like what content pieces they are getting backlinks to, like even the direct or peripheral competitors, right? And they see like if you can also come up with a similar type of content, not exactly the same content, but similar type or a refreshing or a more updated content on that. So that's in probably the first tactic which we can try as far as getting backlinks is concerned. Do a very robust competitor analysis and figure out how your competitors are getting backlinks.
Got it. Got it. We have a slightly technical question from Rohit. Maybe you will understand this better. It says, what should be the strategy behind using GSA and .ru links?
GSA, sorry, where is that question, if I can see?
It's at 7:35 p.m.
I don't think like the extensions or is something, the top level domains is something which you should be concerning about a lot, because honestly, I know like if you go there on internet, like you'll find articles saying why .org is better or .edu is better or any of these things better. I mean, like they'll have some value or maybe very minute. I mean, like you can, as I was mentioning for the previous question, right? Like what I was taking, I think there should be more focus on what type of content you end up creating, which can give you backlinks, be it from any kind of top level domain, right? So that will anyway help you in the longer run, rather than going after specific specific links like this.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Next one is more around the domain authority. There are a couple of questions here, right? One, Safari Health is asking, my DR is 14, how to compete with the website with a DR of 50 plus? And I think there's a similar question down there, is how to increase DA. So please guide.
Yep. So I think if you're mentioning it as DR, most likely you're using Ahrefs as the tool. But that's a good question, because every website, like in the starting phase, it starts from more or less a DR0 technically. But the thing here is, it's not like if your DR is 14, like you won't be able to compete with a DR50 plus site, right? It boils down to that, where is that DR50 plus site lacking? So if both of these websites are in the same domain, maybe like you won't go after something like for which like he's already ranking very well, right? So you'll probably pick up those queries, those long tail keywords, if it comes to that, or those topics or those keywords like which he hasn't covered, which that website hasn't covered or isn't talking about, right? So that is an opportunity area to start with, because as you mentioned, I mean, for the same keyword, for the same type of content, it's going to be difficult winning over a DR50 plus a website. What you can only do in that case, like if you still need to go or do that due to whatever business constraints you have, what I would suggest is come up with a content in such a way that which is far more insightful and far more useful than whatever content they have, whatever page they have, right? Say as an example, trendy Puma shoes, if that's the keyword and they're ranking 1 for it, you also need to target the same keyword. Then probably you should come up with that blog post in such a way that if you show it an end user, like engagement on your page would be better. Like you should have also add some more unique value offering on top of that page. So, and eventually you can try to be in the consideration set. I mean, like even if you come to second spot or third spot, right? there is a chance like might come to one. As always, like SEO is not an absolute game, it's a relative game, right? In the sense like you don't need to have score 100 on 100. You just need to score better than the guy who's already ranking well. So even though if he's probably getting 10 marks, like you just need to score 11 to get onto the top thing, right? So at least for that, probably what you can try is like you can get into the consideration set. By consideration set, I mean like get into the first page, because not all the 9 links or 10 links on the first page would be of high DR. I mean, like if you're in a very competitive domain, then that's going to be difficult. But if it's not, then that is one strategy which you can try. Having content better than the DR 50 plus guy, and also probably picking out keywords or topics which the DR 50 plus website is not talking about. So these are the 2 immediate things which you can try.
Very good. Ubaid is asking, I'm a full-time SEO executive. Currently, I'm handling few law focused niche websites, but I'm finding really hard to get organic traffic. Tell me about it, Ubaid.
Yeah, I think all the law related websites would also fall under YMYL category. I mean, like Google ever since like 2018 when it started rolling out Medic update, if I'm not wrong. So it started putting more emphasis on your money, your life kind of websites, be it websites related to medicine, health, finance, all these niche websites, right? Like which actually impact the end users depending upon like what content these websites are serving, right? So I think one area to look at is EAT as a concept. If you are familiar about it, EAT stands for expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. So all these websites which fall under YMYL like need to have a very good EAT score, or there is no score or methodology as such. But if you strip it down one by one, first part is the expertise, like who is actually writing the content on your law website. Is it an actual lawyer, or is it an intern probably from who's just passed out of his college, like he's writing the content, right? So that actually matters to Google. Like if you are actually getting it written from a lawyer, over time like you have a better chance of getting traffic. But so if it's not, so then probably you're never going to come up, right? So that's on the expertise part. Coming to the authoritativeness, I guess it again depends upon the backlinks or third party reviews. It's going to be a little tough if it's a early niche website, in the sense like a very early stage website, because like you won't be getting a lot of reviews or probably coverage across the web. You can still try for that. And the third part is trustworthiness. Like how can people trust your content? Do you have a legit address? Do you know like who is actually writing the content? If they have more queries, can they reach out to that particular person who has written the content, or your website or business, right? So you can focus on these 3 things. And maybe like if you, I also suggest like you read more about EAT as a concept in SEO, so that like it can help you in getting some traction for your law website.
Brilliant. And this is something that I remember you went in pretty much a lot of detail during our cohort classes as well.
Yep.
So yeah, guys, check out this framework of EAT that Google has put out. It should be very helpful. Shartak has a question. How does the backend process of SEO is happening? Like SEO is a predominant in case traffic generation. How this traffic is generated, for example, Google AdWords and all?
I'm not quite sure I got the.
Yeah, same here. Shartak, are you there? Can you please unmute and ask your question, please?
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to know the basic of ACO. The ACO is like search engine optimization. So, like to ask the question is like what is the backend? Like I don't know anything about ACO, right? So how this process is happening in the backend, and how this traffic is getting generated? For like for example, if I am a blogger, I'm making a particular blog, I'm buying a domain, and I'm doing the hosting for any website, right? So how do I, with the help of ACO, generate traffic, and how this process is happening? So can you brief me about that?
Yeah, I guess like your first question is about how a search engine works and how the ranking works. I mean, it's a pretty detailed topic. It would take more than like probably 2 hours to cover that. But to keep it brief, like you can split it into three parts: the crawling, indexing, and ranking. The crawling is where like Google sends out bots, or for that matter, any search engine, it sends out bots to crawl your website or blog, and then it stores information in some place, and probably it then creates an index of all those stored pages or crawled pages, which comes under the indexing part. And then Google has its own algorithm, ranking signals. I mean, like all major and minor combined, probably there are 200 plus, but broadly it's three buckets, right? One is the content, two is links, and three is user experience. So based on these three ranking signals, Google will then order these websites for the query which is relevant, right? So I'm not going in depth in any of these because like it will actually take a lot of time. But you can pretty much sum it up into, or like classify into these three functions, or of a primary functions of a search engine, right? Any search engine, not just Google, or it's the same for
So
Yahoo.
how, like if I talk about SEO, so how keyword gonna help the SEO part? Like if a particular person is searching with a particular keyword, right? So how it's gonna affect the SEO, like and as well as the ranking. So could you sum it up in a brief?
Yeah, so I mean, first Google, whatever I said in the previous this thing. So Google is crawling the page, right? But since it's a bot, it doesn't know what the page is talking about. Or even for a user, like we need to know like what the page is talking about. Whether we should rank your page for oranges, or whether we should rank your page for Puma shoes, right? I mean, like that is based on like whatever content is on the page, right? What is your blog talking about? So Google then should make some sense out of it, and that depends upon what content you put on the page, what keywords are you using, right? Depending upon that, Google will see, okay, this page is relevant to say buy groceries in Bangalore. Okay, this page is relevant to Puma shoes online, or things like that, right? So it will create a broad category or relevance depending upon what you're talking in the page. What you're talking in the page is actually like what keywords are you using, right? If say for an example, if you're using 100 different keywords, all not, I mean, like not related to each other, Google will know, okay, this page is not talking about anything, so that page won't rank for anything, right? So that way, like the keywords help Google to give a context as to like what your page is talking about, so that when someone searches for a relevant keyword, it can show your page in the search results.
Exactly. Thanks for this thing, briefing about this part. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Sir, I have a question to ask, sir, actually. One question. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sorry,
sir,
who is this?
Niklesh, I guess.
Yes, sir. Nicholas Sundar, sir, actually. Yes, sir. Sir, can I ask about, sir, can you just say some thoughts on LCP, sir? Largest content and web and core web metrics, actually. So that alone, can you just spray some thoughts on, please?
Yeah, so I mean, the core web vitals as a concept is a pretty new one. Just the name, I mean, like page speed as a concept has been existing for a very long time. But since page speed, like if we just tell about page speed, right? Like different people can get it differently. I mean, like what exactly are you measuring? Are you measuring how much time the server is taking to respond? Are you measuring the time till from you enter the URL in the browser till the first image or the text is loaded? Or are you measuring the time when the page gets fully loaded with all the images or text, right? So page speed will have different connotations, like depends upon like what people are looking at. So what Google wanted to do was it wanted to define a standard, and then it said, okay, these three are the metrics which at least like Google is following, which webmasters should also follow. And if these three metrics are done or are taken care of, like your page is doing good from a speed perspective. So those three metrics are LCP, FID, and CLS, right? So, and then Google started calling this as core web vitals. The update related to this recently went live. I guess it's still kind of rolling, but it's not a major update as most of the people are thinking it to be, because content and links are still carry far more weightage, and probably page speed will only come into play when there are two similar looking websites from the other two aspects which I mentioned about, and then there is a tie, right? It more or less acts like a tiebreaker, but it's not a very major thing. But you should actually work towards that too, because like it will have far more other benefits, like the conversion rate on the page might increase. People get people get more time to spend on your page, right? And the bounce rate will reduce, things like that. So coming to your initial thing, so within these core web vitals, I think first one is the LCP, largest contentful paint. Second one is FID, first input delay, and the third one is CLS, cumulative layout shift. So the largest contentful paint is from the moment you enter the URL in the browser to a first element on the page being loaded. It's actually calculating that time. And FID is how much delay there is from the elements getting loaded further, right? And then cumulative layout shift is once the page gets loaded, is the page changing, the layout changing? Like you might be seeing some websites, like you get to see something on the top fold first, and then it gets changed like when the page gets fully loaded, right? So these three things, Google has given a range for each of these, a good needs improvement and a bad range. I think if for 75% of your website visitors, if you're good or if you're green for all these three things, then you're actually passing the core web vitals test. So you can probably just search for core web vitals and see like go get into more details as to, and there are many tools out there, like starting from page speed insights, there is GTmetrix. It actually gives suggestions as to what needs to be changed so that your score can be improved. If you just go in and implement them with the help of a developer, I think you'll pretty much be green for all these web vitals.
Brilliant. Venkat, I think the next question that we have is from, I think Ubaid has one more question. One of my website has over 1 million backlinks, but referring domains are like 700 to 800. Please guide me if this could be a reason behind me not getting traffic.
Yep. So this can as well be a reason, but you need to see what these 700 to 800 websites are, if they're of high DR or low DR. But I still suggest not getting too many links from the same website, right? So in all probability, I'm like, there is no thumb rule here, but if all the site-wide links, right? I mean, I'm assuming some of these are site-wide links. Probably your website is linked from their header or their footer, and if their website has like some 1 million pages, technically it gets counted as 1 million backlinks if it's on header or footer, right? So these links won't help. Site-wide links won't help. I mean, a single link from within a blog post probably will carry far more weightage than a site-wide link, even if it is from a good DR website. So what I would suggest is figure out what are these, which websites are actually contributing to these million backlinks, and actually get them removed if you can talk to those websites, or you can try using the disavow tool, especially if these are of low DR or spammy websites, because like there is a concept of negative SEO also, which is a bit controversial. I mean, like if you want to screw up your competitor, what people would end up doing is like get their competitor's link and put it from some spammy sites. Google, although Google says it will ignore all those kind of links, but it's not perfect still. I mean, like it's improving day by day, but it's not perfect. So what I suggest like you should be doing is like figure out like which of these 700 or 800 domains are giving or contributing to a lot of these millions of backlinks, and then talk to those webmasters or blog owners or website owners and see if you can get them removed, right? So if there's sorry, if they are site-wide links, like it won't help you in any way. I mean, like it might harm you more than that they are actually helping you.
Brilliant. Few questions around the tools, Venkat. So Prashant is asking, is Google Ads Planner reliable for SEO keyword competition analysis?
Yep. So I think the competition metric or the coefficient which Google Ads gives is primarily from a paid ads perspective, like how many people are bidding for those keywords. But it doesn't tell you anything about how the keyword difficulty from an organic perspective. But having said that, it can't be completely useless. I mean, in the sense, you can still look at the high competition keywords. If more people are bidding for a keyword, right, which means it's a keyword which is actually generating revenue. You can more or less take it that way, and you can also put that probably in your content or in your organic strategy. But it's not something which will help you in your organic keyword difficulty. For that, probably you can check out Ahrefs or SEMrush or Ubersuggest, and then figure out keyword difficulty from there. And Google Ads is whatever competition metric it gives, it's primarily from a paid search perspective only.
Got it. I think, and there is a question on the tools itself from Sanidhya, right? As a beginner, with which SEO tool we should go for? Is it Ubersuggest or Ahrefs?
I think if you can, I don't think Ahrefs has a free trial, but I mean, like if you're a company or whoever, like if you're working as a freelancer, I guess Ahrefs is the best SEO tool. But Ubersuggest, like since it has a free trial, I guess like you can go in and you can check it out for sure. Because like Ahrefs, I think even for 7-day free trial, it requires putting or paying some money if I'm not wrong. But apart from these two, you can also try out SEMrush. I'm not again sure about if it has a free trial or not. So that's also comes a near second as far as competition is concerned. But undoubtedly, I guess like Ahrefs is the best tool out there at the moment for SEO.
Got it. Cool. Okay, let's see. So here we have Sunil asking a question. I'm learning web design. So is there a need for me to learn SEO? Is there an advantage for me or not?
Definite need. I'm not sure, but definitely there is an advantage, because like if you're a web designer and if you're, I mean, again, like it depends on whether you want to work as a freelancer or you want to, or if you're working for a company, right? So if you're working as a freelancer, then definitely it's a big plus, because a lot of times projects come with an SEO as an objective. And if you already know basics of SEO, I mean, since you're mentioning, I mean, like I'm assuming if you're a front-end designer, like say if you know the difference between client-side rendering or server-side rendering for JavaScript or React-based websites. So it actually helps in planning, and also you can actually bundle it out in such a way that you can actually earn more money for the same project, because a lot of web development projects out there also have like SEO as one of the requirements with them. I think you're on mute, Sriram, sorry.
Apologies. Arjun is asking, as there are so many websites and blogs targeting the same keywords, how can we differentiate ours using SEO?
Differentiate us in the sense, like I think if the question is like how what your SEO strategy should be, in the sense if a particular keyword is being targeted by, I mean, like, that's going to be true, right? I mean, like if there is some keyword which is actually generating money or revenue for specific business, I guess there would be some existing competition already. Right. So what we can only do is, like in that case, most of these cases, like you should have a long-term strategy. The short-term strategy would work for those keywords which are not actually targeted or by your competitors or many websites, but something like a low-hanging fruits. So probably in that case, like you can do a long tail approach, but head is something like which you should eventually try for anyway. So having said that, there will always be, even within the high competitive keywords, right? So for some keyword, probably the top 4 results are from good DR websites, and from 5 there is an opportunity. For some keywords, like only the first or the second website are good DR websites, and from 3 there is an opportunity again, right? You need to figure out like who is the easiest guy you can actually replace in the first page, and accordingly you can calculate opportunity, and accordingly you can figure out those keywords and then group them and create strategy. Because like in the end, like you need content, and it all depends upon what type of content, what type of pages are you creating, because the SEO strategy is only like the base strategy. And once you pick up even these keywords basis, whatever opportunity analysis you're doing, so you need to have a very good content strategy creation and also distribution, so that you can actually win those spots.
Got it. So we have a question from Abhiyanshu Venkat. He's saying, I have a product website which is set to launch later in August. The content is up on the website and we have started working on the social media. My question is, what would be the best way to start the SEO journey for my website?
So if the content is already up, right? I mean, I guess like what you can do is only optimize now. There are two ways to look at it. Like if all your pages have already been indexed or not. If not, then probably you can still go back to the whiteboard and do some research or analysis as to what all type of pages you need. What should be the website architecture? What pages should be linking to what, right? But if all of those are already done and you won't be probably able to do some of those modifications, I guess like you should try to see like what each page is going to target, like what keywords you're going to target for each of these pages. And do you think like you have enough content on those pages which actually have a chance in the organic results, right? And probably for those keywords, go to Google and search like which are some of the competitors, like how what are their DRs and how big those sites are and all that stuff, right? So accordingly, you can take a call which of your existing pages you have a chance, and probably then you can work on beefing up content on those pages. And the second thing is like you would anyway need a distribution plan as to I mean, like not necessarily from an SEO perspective, but in general, getting more reach for your website across the internet, be it backlinks, be it PR, be it social media channels, be it forums, stuff like that.
Got it. Understood. Shubham has a question. It's a very broad-based question. How do you use content marketing for SEO?
I think the entire or the base of SEO itself is content marketing. Without content, there is no SEO. I mean, like, I know there are websites probably which will use purely technical aspects and then probably do machine generation or automated generated content and do, but I honestly feel there is no SEO without content. So in the sense, like, again, like if you split content marketing to content creation and content distribution, right? I mean, like both of them help for or are required for SEO. Content creation for the entire on-page activities, content distribution for the entire off-page activities. So I mean, like these are the biggest two levers for SEO. And the third aspect is the technical SEO, right? Where like I mean, like how you are actually optimizing your website from a page speed perspective or a mobile responsiveness perspective. I mean, those are the things which I feel can be easily solved. But the biggest part is the content. I mean, what to create, what content to create, and how to distribute, which is the crux of content marketing.
Got it. We have one question from Balaji. He's saying how to do SEO for e-commerce products.
I guess like SEO for e-commerce is probably if you just go out and search on Google, like this is one industry like probably which uses SEO a lot, and there are many existing playbooks as to how people have done it, right? I also see that this is a very generic question. It depends upon what you're selling and how many categories you are into. Say if you are in a product, like if you're selling into some 20-30 categories, whether they are already well-known categories or highly competitive categories or niche categories, the SEO differs, the strategy differs for each of these. But typically an e-commerce website, like it has a homepage links to a few category pages, link to a few listing pages, and listing pages link to the product pages. Like as an example, a Myntra linking to a shoes linking to a Puma shoes, a Puma shoes linking to an individual shoe item or an SKU within the Puma shoes, right? And I think more or less this is how a lot of e-commerce websites are actually created, or just from a structure perspective. And the content, how it helps is, again, two things. One, whatever is already goes into, I'm like, you won't be able to put a lot of content on your homepage primarily from an SEO aspect. So the content optimization should happen on category pages or listing pages or the individual product pages. So that is one thing. Additionally, you can also have an alternate content strategy using a blog or using any other type of collections or lookbooks or things like that for your e-commerce, like 10 best trendy Puma shoes probably for winter or for monsoon or things like that, which probably can go on blog. But the main running Puma shoes can go as a listing page or a category page, right? So you should probably do a detailed keyword research for the products you are offering, and then figure out what goes into the core website, what should go into the blog, and then beef up the content. So that's how I guess like you can look at it. But for e-commerce, right, like you should be getting enough content on the website, like on the internet, because this is something which is being done ever since probably SEO started. So you'd have enough playbooks on internet already, and you can probably go through them.
Got it. So Umesh is asking, if my website is freshly new, what would you recommend to do for the initial ranking? Where to focus more? It's not a blog, it's a single page tool or business website.
It's a single page tool or a business website, right? So I think it's going to be difficult if it's a single page tool. I mean, whatever you could do is like you can only target that page, right? So it's going to be very difficult unless you're targeting a niche. To what you can do is like maybe like you try to put everything, your core website offering or service offering, like whatever you have. If there are one or two keywords which are your primary or secondary keywords, you can try putting that in homepage title and the headings or the content. And also you can beef up the page with an FAQ, like which you typically see in a lot of websites now. Everything related to whatever your website or your business is about. Like if there are any questions which people might have before they want to buy your tool or your service, you can try to probably put in like some 50-20 questions as an FAQ covering the primary secondary keywords. But the core thing is like you can put it on the home as the HTML title and probably few subheaders. But I still feel like it's going to be difficult with a single page ranking with a single page. Like you should have few other pages on your website, like which actually are going to help you with your ongoing SEO activities.
Got it. I think for the previous question on, I think Balaji had a follow-up question. Go ahead, Balaji.
Yes. Hi, good evening.
Yeah. Hi, Balaji.
Yes. Actually, till date, I have worked for an educational website where I have worked on backlinks and backlink generation to get on the top of a web page.
Mm-hmm.
But recently, our company has started e-commerce non-vegetarian products like pickles, chips, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So, is the same strategy of what do you say? Is the same strategy of educational website what we have done, blog posting and guest posting and all those works listings?
Yeah, I think if I'm getting it right, I mean, what you mean is like by guest posting, all these are, we can club it as tactics. The tactics will still be the same. The strategy might differ depending upon what keywords you want to go after. But whatever areas or type of activities which you're doing, right, you can go with this same things. But I think one concern which I see is if that section is also going to be within the same domain. I mean, like till now.
No, separate domain. It was a separate domain, but it want to start from the roots. So should I follow the same thing, or it will be a new concept from the previous concept? So I
No, no,
have
I think,
done.
yeah, I think whatever worked for you for an education website, right? I could hear that like you have tried some of these guest posting and few other stuff. So I think the tactics will remain same, or like in most of the cases, like it should work on your non-veg product related website also. But what might differ is like what are the keywords you're going after? Who is your target audience? How many keywords you're going after? How many number of
Yes,
pages like you would
yes,
require?
like roughly around five keywords per a product, and we have roughly 20 products.
Mhm.
So ultimately, we are going to target 100 keywords per 20 pages.
Yeah, I think like you can, it's advisable to try with the same tactics which has given you results for the education website. That won't change. But probably for your new website, like you should again figure out like what are those websites which are relevant to that. And yeah, I think I don't think I mean like you should try anything new given something has worked for you for the other website. Maybe like if you try them and if it doesn't succeed, like then probably you can move on to other tactics. But yep.
But why ask him? Means so many like SEO institute were asking e-commerce SEO, and they are asking like that, right? So how it is different? So why they are specifying for the e-commerce industry? So even though there are many hundreds of industries in the market, so why they are what is it?
So I think what I see is I mean your education website. I'm not sure like what it offers. If it again
Yes,
offers,
IT Training Institute. IT Training Institute,
yeah,
like
I think
Java.
in that case it both should be same. I mean, I'm assuming like you have a category or a listing or your service related page, right?
Yes, yes,
I don't see any difference, but except probably you can check like how is the existing competition for both of these.
yes,
I mean,
yes.
like maybe like it was less for your education institute, but it might be more for your non-veg products or vice versa. So that might differ because in
But the
that case, like
techniques were, but all the techniques what I was using was same. And one
yep,
more
yep.
small question. I don't take much time. One more small
Uh,
question.
I think
So
I think Balaji, I think we should take, there are at least 20 more questions. I want to take
yes,
other
only
guys'
small,
questions.
only one more, and I don't ask one, and I request you, but please.
Sure, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Yes.
Balaji.
So what to? So I have ranked. So as I said, you in my education website, I rank for a keyword in the top 1%, but I am not getting any call in a month. Is there any mistake with respect to our SEO or something else, and only with the market?
So if you're already ranking one, right? So then you've done everything well as far as SEO is concerned. Two things to look at it. This is like whether you're ranking for the right keyword. I mean, like what is the keyword like which you're ranking for? And
It was given by the client, and they were not getting the leads. Then they asked me, I'm not in getting the leads, and so
so
I
then
kind of.
it's not an issue of either the client gave the wrong keyword to go after, or the thing is like I mean like if that keyword is not giving them leads, then probably you should try different keywords. A or B, see if there is something wrong with the landing page or the website itself. Like with even heat map tools or even something as basic as Google Analytics, you can get to know like uh, what people are doing
I was
on
getting plenty of traffic, but no calls for a website. That's it. So
yeah,
traffic
yeah.
was
So
high.
I think I think it's either the issue of the keyword which you're targeted or the conversion rate on the page. So I don't think it's the issue of SEO or like from SEO perspective, I guess like you are one there. I mean like you can't do
Yes, yes.
much.
That's
So
that's what I would like to confirm. A conversation has been happened. Thank you for giving me a second chance. Thank you.
Cool. Okay, guys, let's give a couple of minutes break to Venkat. I think he's been going nonstop for the last 50 minutes. So in the meanwhile, I'll just want to introduce Antwork properly to folks who are not familiar completely. So uh, see, we are an education, edtech platform where we believe in the philosophy of learning from real practicing professionals. No longer is it, we all have done our college education, and for one reason or the other, what we learn in the colleges is not exactly what we end up using in the real world. So what we have done at Antwork is bring together the top professionals from multitude of global brands, and where you can learn from them, because these are folks who have been there and done that. So getting those experiential learning, the tips and tricks and the nitty-gritties of how they execute is what will make us as better professionals. Right. The second thing that we believe in is learning by doing. How do you, not only like Venkat was saying in the beginning, there's a lot of content out there, but unless we get our hands dirty, we won't get to be confident about that particular topic. Yeah. And the last one is, in today's world where we have the remote working and also work from home kind of a concept coming in, how do you learn through live immersive classes but online, right? Self-recorded classes have their own disadvantages, where we start losing our motivation pretty soon. So how do you learn through live immersive classes, right? So these are three elements we are focusing on at Antwork. And based on that, what we have done, guys, is that, we started a 16-week master's program in digital marketing. This is basically intended for people who want to transition and make a career in digital marketing. It's a 16-week program. It will be conducted completely live on the weekends, and it will be delivered by industry leaders such as Venkat himself. In fact, I'll request Venkat to just talk a minute about what his experience was in the last batch as well. But we have folks we have identified who come with these expertise in these domains, right? Venkat is going to take the full module on search engine optimization. I have Ishan Gupta, who works at Google, who will talk to you about marketing analytics and Google, GA. I have the head of business strategy from Geo Savan, who will come and talk to you about brand and storytelling. I have a senior marketing professional from Netflix who will come and talk about content marketing strategy, and so on, right? Over a 16-week period, we will cover these modules in depth. You will get your hands dirty, because while the classes happen on weekends, there will be projects that have been designed by these experts, and you will have to get your hands dirty, and use latest tools to deliver those projects, which will be graded by these experts themselves, right? So if you guys are interested in starting your career in digital marketing, you could be fresh graduates, or you are folks who are in sales, in customer operations, or graphic designers, content writers who want to make that shift into digital marketing, or even accidental digital marketers who are looking to get a holistic experience, a learning in digital marketing. This is the ideal program for you. Our next batch is starting in the next couple of weeks. I'll put the link in the chat box. If you're interested, please apply. Of course, if you use this link, we are giving another 10,000 rupees off on the program itself if you apply today. Yeah. With that, let's get back to the AMA session. It was good. It is very interesting set of conversations happening. Venkat.
Yeah. So just to add to that, like what Sriram was telling, like why I liked Antwork a lot was the concept behind this, in the sense like it's not just like theoretical learning which happens or which you get from typical professors or people like who have read the subject, right? It's just it's from people like who have actually experimented with that and actually worked on it. So that is something like which you can get to here. And digital marketing, right? I mean, like probably you can compare to all the other domains out there. Digital marketing is something like if you buy a textbook today related to digital marketing, it will be useless by next year because things change that fast in digital marketing. And the only people who are up to date in digital marketing are the ones like who are actually working in digital marketing, right? So, and this, I mean, I was a part of like few other classes too, and I myself have taken like 3 or 4 classes for SEO in the cohort 1. I guess it's still continuing, the cohort 1. Yeah, so there was an enthusiastic bunch of people like, and we actually went in depth in a lot of SEO concepts, right? Like I could see like some of the folks asking like, how does even SEO work, right? So we will get into in depth of all these aspects, like, and to add to that, like a real project, we are going to do an anatomy or a very complete or a detailed audit of a website and an app, which will cover all the aspects, whatever you have learned. And pretty much like if someone asks you like what all areas of SEO have you covered, right? you can confidently say you have covered 99% of them by doing that particular project, right? So I would suggest like take a look at this if you want to get started with digital marketing, or if you're looking for a transition from other fields to digital marketing, right? So, and this is actually a very good platform to have that change. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for that vote of confidence, Venkat. Cool. I think we have another 5 to 6 minutes, Venkat. Let's take maybe 2 or 3 more questions.
Sure. So I also pinged in my shameless LinkedIn plug there. So I mean, I could see a lot of people ask questions, and I kind of feel bad that we couldn't cover everything in 1 hour session. So I mean, like, yeah. So in case like if people still have queries, they can reach out to me on LinkedIn. But if you want to know everything about SEO, I guess like the course is what you should be considering. Definitely.
Cool. So while I get the next question started, guys, you will start seeing a poll coming up on your screen. This is just to get feedback on how we can make our masterclasses better. So please take a minute and fill it up. There's a bunch, just 5 questions there. Okay, so I think we have a question from. I thought I saw a question from Ela, where she was asking what are the elements of technical SEO we need to focus on. I think that you have covered already, right? Okay, we have from Mangesh, how to get crawled and indexed web pages by Google or any other search engine. That is tools and techniques you prefer for crawling and indexing.
So I think the best tool from a crawling perspective is Screaming Frog, is what I feel. Although like there are other tools like as an inbuilt one of the features, like you can get it in either Ahrefs or SEMrush, or even their crawl specific tools like Botify. But if you want to know like how a Google bot crawls your page, what all things it sees on your website, I think Screaming Frog is something which you can try. It is free up to like 500 URLs. Like you can just it's a desktop application, it's not an online tool. You can just download it and give it a try, and I'm sure like you would actually find it interesting. Coming to the indexing part, right? Indexing part, I guess once you have your own website, or the website which you're working on, you can connect it with Google Search Console, and it pretty much gives detailed insights of why a particular page is indexed, why it is not indexed, how did Google encounter your page, everything related to indexing, right? So from that aspect, I guess Search Console is maybe the only tool which probably gives in and out of like what's happening with indexing of your pages or website.
Got it. Amin has a question. Good evening, sir. I got live URLs from Web 2.0 sites like Behance, Medium, etc. And what are the ways to get referring domain and indexing?
I am not quite sure I got that question. Not live URLs.
Amin, I'm unmuted you. Can you ask your question, please?
Hello, sir.
Go ahead, Amin.
Hi, sir. Sir, I have submitted backlink on articles on Web 2.0 sites like Behance and Medium and Reddit, and I got live URL, sir, for getting a referring domain and backlink, sir. Mm-hmm. But my content was not indexed, sir, for not indexing, sir. What so
after how much time? I mean, like how much time have you waited to check like if your content is indexed or not?
Since last 1 month, sir.
Okay, so if Google is not indexing your content, right? I guess it's actually a quality issue, or there's something wrong technically. So as I was mentioning for the previous question, right? So if it's your own website, what you should be doing is like sign up for Search Console, add your site in Search Console, and put those URLs like which you think are not getting indexed. Google will tell you the reason why they are not getting indexed, right? If it has encountered that URL, but still it didn't index. Like if it's a technical reason, you will get it right away. If everything is fine with the URL, it still didn't get indexed. It's most likely a quality issue, and Google thinks either your page is a duplicate or spammy page. But I kind of feel that it might be some technical implementation issue. which you can easily figure out in the search console. Maybe like you're blocking it on robots or that page. You can also see like if Googlebot has crawled your page or not from search console. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sir. But I have created Blogger one new content, sir. I inserted that live URL as anchor text, but my Blogger content has indexed. Since that live URL not indexing, sir. That's issue I am getting, sir.
So I still feel like it might be a quality issue, if not technical issue. I mean, what you have on that URL, like if you think it is unique and original content, what you can try out again in the search console is you can request Google for indexing again. There's an option to do that. But for that, like you can only try search console. I don't think there is any other way you can figure out why your URL is not getting indexed.
Yeah, okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Cool. We'll take one last question, Venkat.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this one is from Arjun again. Do creatives have an effective impact in SEO ranking, or is it written text?
So I mean, this depends on. This is actually a good question. This depends on the intent of the person. Like what do they plan to consume, right? I mean, if someone is searching for, I mean, like I'll probably take an easy example: mobile trends infographic. If they're searching for that, or mobile trends stats, or charts, or something like that. So then your whatever website you want to rank for should include all those things, right? But if it is something around text, like you can one way to figure this out is for whatever keywords you want to rank, or your target keywords, just analyze the SERP, see the first page, see the first spot, second spot, third spot, all those websites, right? What do they have? Do they have content more, text more, or videos more, or images more? Accordingly, like you can take a call, like what people want to see, right? It always the search results, organic results, are actually ranked in such a way that they'll satisfy the user intent. So you can actually figure that out from the live SERP analysis or the current results analysis itself, whether people want to see text or video or images or anything else.
Got it. Perfect. I think that's pretty much it. I think we have covered almost 80% of the questions, Venkat. I mean, it's been a fantastic session. Guys, let's give a thumbs up to Venkat for spending time on the weekday and giving us more than an hour of his time to talk about all the questions you guys had. Hope it was a very useful session. I can see from the polls that yes, it was fairly successful, Venkat. I think most of the people have loved your answers and also the depth of your the expertise. So thank you so much for that. We are looking forward to having you on the second batch, which starts in the next few weeks. So like I said, guys, if you guys are really interested in understanding digital marketing in depth and getting a head start, do check us out. Happy to have a conversation with you guys, explain to you what we are covering, who's covering what, and then we can take it forward. Yeah. Thank you once again, Venkat, for coming on a weekday, and thanks, folks, for attending this session. And we have more sessions coming up, so do check us out on the Antwalk homepage for the next set of events, or you can go to Luma/Antwalk. I'm just putting the link here as well.
Thanks, Sriram. Thanks everyone. I hope this session was insightful. And sorry for like if I couldn't take any questions. Yeah, so I look forward to seeing at least some of you in the cohort 2, which is going to start soon.
Thank you so much, Venkat. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Good
everyone.
night.
Yeah, bye.